and welcome to this week's Friday Flickr photo critique. Why am I doing a photo critique this week? Well, this one has some history. I was emailed earlier this year by a gentleman named Michael, and he said that he's a 17-year-old photographer who was approached by his cousin fiance, who were looking to have their wedding shot. And I'm just kind of looking at his email while I'm talking to you guys. So they asked him to take pictures at the wedding. They knew that he liked photography. He thought it would be great to get some tips from me because he had a Canon Rebel T1i and a 50-1.8. And he, basically wasn't really sure about, how to take the indoor shots, how to take the outdoor shots. So anyway, I thought it was very cool that he reached out before just jumping into it. And I suggested to Michael that he, have his cousin and her fiance hire a professional photographer. That is as commendable as it was that he wanted to lend a hand, that, as a non-experienced wedding photographer, if you're just going to take on a wedding without any experience, it's probably more than you can handle. It's a rapid flow of day. There's tons of events that go on. And just being comfortable and competent in a whole bunch of different scenarios is really important to shooting a wedding because things happen at the speed of light. I didn't really want to be harsh with Michael, but I did want to let him know that you can't take something like a wedding lightly because that's obviously a sacred event that, is happening hopefully once for the people that you're photographing. So anyway, I suggested that maybe, he try to do some assisting if he could and try to learn, maybe he could assist or second shoot or do something to maybe learn from other professionals. I didn't want him to be discouraged, and I even recommended that he get 580 EX flash or maybe try to rent something. Anyway, long story longer, he took my advice really well, and I guess just only about a week ago, Michael emailed me to say that he had took the suggestions that I had given him to heart, and interestingly, his cousin was confident with his abilities, and as it turns out, another cousin who happens to be a professional photographer apparently helped out with posed and planned shots. So what Michael did is he looked at wedding albums and different wedding photography sets all over the internet. He figured out what his cousin and fiance wanted, which is really important here because oftentimes people are hiring you not only for your style, but for certain things that they want you to achieve for them as their photographer. And that's a difficult balance, or not a difficult balance, a delicate balance. That's what I meant to say, because you want to impart your creativity, your point of view, but you also want to make sure you get the stuff that the couple wants. So Michael ended up happening upon some really great gear. He was able to secure a Canon 5D Mark II, 7200 2.8, and a 51.8. So he had a really nice kit for this gig. I don't know if he used any flash, but he did send me a photo set to review, and I'm going to bring that up here so we can all talk about it. So let's see. I'm just going to bring this up really quick. And let's just start. We're just going to go through the images. We're just going to start here. The one thing I can say is just looking at the images, just in this sense right here, okay, as a grouping, they're looking a little bit orangey to me. One of the things that happens is that when you're editing, it's not a bad idea, obviously, to edit each individual image, but you also want to look at them cohesively. But I'm just seeing like a little bit of a kind of an orangey tint. But let's just go to this first image here, okay? Now, this is pretty cool. I like that he's taking, a cool room shot. I think that room shots are really important. I think that detail shots are really important. The one thing that I'm not really crazy about here is the angle. The angle's a little bit weird. I mean, I think that you could have played with a bunch of different things here, but I don't know why you wouldn't have stood in the back. Obviously, shooting from the back in this situation made a lot of sense because you wanted to get the bows on the backs of the chairs, which is really cool. You wanted to get the hearth because that's most definitely where they were going to be getting married. But I don't know why you chose to shoot off to the side. So, the thing that I would only have suggested here in this particular thing is maybe just, stood off and been more center. The image looks a little wide, a little distorted, but again, it's a good detail shot. All right, so here we go. I'm guessing that's the groom. These are typically nice shots. I'm also going to guess that this is him taking in the bride as she's coming down. I like the selective focus here. I like that this is probably one of the groomsmen and one of the bridesmaids. So this is a cool shot. The framing's pretty cool here. Maybe could have done with a little bit less space up here. Maybe dropped it down, but overall not bad. Again, without flash and backlit, from what I could see from that room, high ISOs, you really can't do much about that. So you're going to be dealing with a lot of grain here. But as a whole, it's pretty cool. And editing, that's only something that I would have wanted to maybe just punch it up a little bit and maybe have it look a little bit less amber. But again, it's not too bad. All right, here we go. So now we have the groom looking at the bride. These are great shots. This is no exception. This is a really, really nice shot. You've got a great exchange. You've got, her head leading you to him and the look, and it really is nice. The processing is not really my style here. It's a little bit kind of soft and tinted, and I don't know. He looks a little green, and green is kind of maybe not ideal for a skin tone. It could be my monitor, but overall, this shot works and the story is being told. It's pretty good. So here we go. We have a shot. I guess this could potentially be the part where they say, now you can kiss the bride. This doesn't really do much for me. The angle, unfortunately, is a little bit off. So you're really just getting the back of her head and she's covering his face. We've got all of this negative space here, all this stuff up here. In this situation, I don't know. I would have maybe shot horizontally or might have cropped this kind of thing. Depending on where you were in relation to where the other photographer was, definitely securing a better camera angle to get the kiss is definitely something that I would very, very highly recommend, because although you're capturing a moment here without really connecting through their faces, it's not as powerful. So here we have just a decent portrait of the two of them. Again, we've got a ton of negative space down here. I think we really could have dropped this framing in a lot lower, or we could have gotten tighter, more kind of like just, the heads. I think you've got some real nice buttery bokeh, but your depth of field is a little bit too shallow, because look, the beautiful bride is nice, sharp focus. The groom is not. And this is a common mistake that a lot of people make when they're shooting wide open and they're shooting more than one person. When you're shooting too shallow, and I'm going to guess this might have been the 51.4. Maybe I can even check it right now. Let's see if we have the EXIF on here, or the 51.8. Oh, this was the 202.8. And you were at, let's see, 202.8. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But for shooting something like this, I think that you could have been a little bit safer on this shot here, and maybe shot this one at like 3.2 or something like that, because again, your depth of field is pretty shallow right here. Beautiful bokeh, and so again, to me, this shot is close. The framing could have been a little bit better, maybe tighter filling the frame. Obviously changing the aperture just to make sure that you get the couple in focus. Here we go. We have one of those kind of classic shots of the groomsmen and the groom kind of like holding the bride. Again, it's the framing. We've got all this negative space up here, but what happened to the bottom of the dress? We were also standing off to the side, off to an angle. So you're shooting kind of, indirectly at this. My only guess is that you potentially were shadowing the other photographer that was there, and this was the best you could get. I'm not crazy about her expression here, but who knows? Maybe she never really quite settled into this position. But, it's cool. You're seeing good stuff. You're shooting a nice shallow depth of field, which looks great. Your images have a nice punch to them. So good stuff. Again, same thing with the shot before. We've got so much negative space up here. I would like to see more of what's going on below and or fill the frame with these two. It's a lovely portrait. The only other thing to consider here is that you've got this beautiful greenery behind the groom and you've got this black tree. And had you taken one step to the left so they both could have been framed on that beautiful greenery, I think it would have had more impact. It would have had more punch. You know, the beautiful kind of lush greenery against their skin tones could have been really, really cool. Yeah, this one kind of works with the shallow depth of field. I like the kind of dappled light that you got going on back here. I like that he's smiling and kind of like carrying on, that she's laughing. I think that it's very important and very cool to do some shots that really emphasize the bride, you know, most beautiful day of her life. I don't mind that you kind of threw them off to the right here. Again, the only thing I think that if you could have just come down a little bit on this one and or filled the frame a little bit more with them. But overall, really quite good. This doesn't do anything for me. I don't get it. Maybe this is another photographer that was shooting the event. Maybe this is the pro that came down to do things. But this to me is like something that you would like, you know, shoot, crop, and Instagram and tag the photographer. I don't really see how this ties to the wedding set. This is nice. This is a nice detail shot, although it's a little bit pulled back. I would like you to go in a little bit tighter with this one so that we can read this little bit here. And, you know, the thing is, when you're shooting stills like this, move things around. Get rid of this glass over here. Get rid of the sugar packets and the salt and pepper shaker over there. Get the candles more in there. Just set these kinds of shots up, you know. So this one's not really working, but you have the idea. Okay, I would just say next time take a little bit more time and work with all these different elements to get kind of a cooler detail shot. This one's not bad. Again, though, if you just lost this glass here and you had all that beautiful bokeh and shallow depth of field, I think that we would have had a successful shot. You know, we've got the pencil here. We've got some little stone down here. We've got this giant glass over here. So the background looks really fantastic. This nice little foreground piece looks cool, but all these little distractions, I think if you'd just taken a minute just to move them out of the way, we would have had a more successful shot. Yeah, you know, doesn't quite work. I get what you're saying. I see what you're seeing. I like that you're trying to capture, you know, the body language, the connection between the bride and the groom, but there's just not quite enough there, or the angle just doesn't really quite tell the story enough. Like his wrist is kind of bent backwards. You don't see the wedding rings. Oftentimes, what's really nice is when you have a couple and they're holding hands and you can see each of their rings, which helps to emphasize the impact of the day. So, you know, like a lot of these shots, they're really close, but if you just take them a little bit further and you just say to them like, okay, guys, well, why don't you put your hand on top of his and yours like that? Next thing you know, you see the rings and there's more of a connection going on, and that really works out well. The cake cutting. Well, the cake cutting without the couple is a little bit odd. Because, you know, we've just got some hand coming into the scene here, and we've got just a partial groom. The frame's a little bit tilted. It just, you know, it doesn't quite work. I want to see the exchange of the couple. I want to see them laughing or smiling or having some kind of interaction here. I don't really care about the cake so much. I could lose all of this framing down below here and the knife and all that, and I would just shift the whole thing up to capture the interaction that's going on with the two of them. Yeah, just, you know, reception shot. It's blurry. It's out of focus. Both of their eyes are closed. It's tilted. It's just, honestly, I wouldn't even include this one in the set. I like what's going on here, but to me, there's too many problems with it that it just doesn't work. Same thing here. Like, just, I would lose this one. I mean, I understand, like, maybe that's her father or somebody significant, but it's blurry. It's out of focus. There's all this kind of white negative space over here. So that kind of is those are a couple of deal breakers for me. This one too, you know, you really gotta work with a flash. Because if you're going to be dealing with like bright lights like these and all this kind of backlight stuff and lens flare and kind of crazy business like that, you have to figure out a way to artificially light indoors, and that's at least going to come with one flash. So again, this really doesn't work for me. I don't like the flare that's going on. I don't like the framing on this one very much. We cut off the feet. We didn't fill the frame. It just, it doesn't quite work. Well, anyway, so I want to say, Michael, I think that I really want to give you props for getting out there and giving this a shot. I think that you've got a lot of potential. I think a lot of the stuff that you did with natural light, from the reception to some of the portraits, really worked out pretty well. I think that if you're going to look into shooting weddings and events or anything that involves indoors, you're going to really need to get at least one flash under your belt and learn how to use it. And then also, think about the kinds of things that couples want to see. They want to see all the detail shots. They want to see, all those little interactions between each other. You want to see the reactions from like family and close friends, like during the ceremony. There's a lot of details that you can find over here. So keep at it. Keep looking at other photographers' websites and other wedding photographers' work. See if wedding photography is something that you want to get into. Definitely get out there. Try to assist professional wedding photographers. Try to see if you can even work your way up to second shooting with them, because they will teach you more than you could ever learn on your own. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. That's it for now, and we'll see you soon.